a troubling pattern emerges. Stuart Alderati, lead counsel for Ripple, he's pointing out the massive failures of the SEC this year. Number one, starting with the court finding the SEC demonstrated hypocrisy by making inconsistent arguments to the court and not acting out of faithful allegiance to the law. Really harsh statements by the judge in SEC versus Ripple. Doesn't get any better with Coinbase. Court agrees the SEC's defaulted on its duty to respond in good faith to Coinbase's petition for rulemaking within cryptocurrencies. And today, the SEC again denied doing any such thing. The whole industry is saying, look, we're confused. Just give us a little guidance here. We want to follow the laws. And the SEC continues to refuse to do so. They're going to go back to court on this issue. Then we see 8/29/23, court finds that the SEC's inconsistent treatment of similar products is arbitrary and capricious. I don't know how to say that word. Sorry to admit it. Grayscale versus the SEC. So again, they can't do this. They can't say, well, you have a futures-based product but not a spot-based product just because we want to be vicious to cryptocurrencies. Not going to be allowed. We'll see what they do here. Do they allow a spot product to go forward like they should? Or do we have to go back to court to argue this some more? Courts are going to get sick of their nonsense. Lastly, court orders SEC to show why it should not be sanctioned for making false and misleading representation to the court in SEC versus Debtbox. And that was a big one, where they said, hey, Debtbox is trying to move money overseas. They're doing all this illegal activity and there's no truth to it. And they froze their assets. They froze their bank accounts. Really harmed the business. It turned out they were doing no such thing. If you or I did this, man, the courts would just smack us down, and they need to act here, and hopefully they do. This is the deal. We're going to go over some predictions from Ripple and Stuart for what 2024 has to offer. But I'll tell you this, I don't think the SEC has as long of a leash as these guys do. I think they think this is going to continue in perpetuity. I'm telling you, they're kind of running out of avenues here. And they're going to start having to work with the crypto space. It's becoming too big, too powerful. And your big money they want in too. So now you're going to be dealing with your BlackRocks, your Fidelities, people like this. These types of games aren't going to work going forward. Yeah, I don't think we're out of the woods yet, but we're getting there. Let's look at this. Ripple's 2024 predictions. As the industry looks to leave behind the problems it experienced in 2023, a new paradigm is emerging. So we had a lot of regulatory struggles this year, for sure. And some of that's good, because you go to court, you argue over this, and you get some guidance, right? The SEC won't give us the guidance, but the courts have. So I think it's been a productive year. It's been a tough year. It's been a hard year, but one that's quite productive where we've got a lot of answers. Ripple goes on to say the crypto industry isn't courting financial institutions as it once did. It doesn't need to. So in other words, we're not going out begging BlackRock. We're not going out begging Fidelity or banks or money transmitters. They're coming to the crypto space because they need this, and this is a big deal. Global banks and industry giants are actively seeking digital asset solutions. So this is both things like on-demand liquidity where you're using the crypto asset, but also investment products. And we're seeing that across the board. This full integration of cryptocurrencies into traditional finance. 2024, Ripple expects adoption rates to continue to soar. That's what we want. The adoption of this technology is just going to continue to drive demand and drive valuations. Best believe that. Lastly, banks are experimenting with tokenizing assets and need to be able to do so with confidence inside a framework of strict compliance and security protocols, as well as smooth integration. So they're not going to play around here and have mechanisms that are going to break, be unsafe. They need this to work and work immediately. And I think this is going to be a great avenue for Ripple for a couple of reasons. Number one, they're going to be able to build compliant systems. They know how to integrate with banks and institutions in this new area of demand. But furthermore, their core competency here with their tech stack is built just for this. The XRP ledger specifically is built just for this. And so this is the perfect time to have institutions looking at this saying, we want to tokenize assets. Great. We have the tech stack to do it. We've had that since 2012. We're well versed in it. We're ready to rock and roll. It's one of the best in the world at doing exactly this. And I agree. I think that's going to be a big area of demand. We're going to want to tokenize everything from stocks to real estate and just assets in general, making that flow of value seamless and low cost and all of that. All right, lastly, we see Stuart Alderati saying the following. 2024, the last bit of the SEC's misguiding lawsuit against Ripple will finally come to an end. So this whole struggle will come to an end. We'll have to see if it, actually goes over to some sort of appeals, but this current process will. We'll know what Ripple has to pay in fines and penalties. And it very well may not be a lot, because a lot of their sales, even though those institutional sales were deemed as a securities violation, if they weren't sourced here in the U.S., probably not going to get any sort of penalties there. So how much selling in the United States did they actually do? Now, he also predicts the SEC's campaign of regulation by enforcement will continue. And I agree. I mean, they don't have a lot more. They don't have the law on their side. They have to kind of make it up as they go along, wherever they think they can disrupt this industry, strong-arm this industry. They don't want to put the rules in writing, because they say one thing one day, change their mind the next. You can't do that if you put it down in writing. So probably this is going to still be, the way they regulate this space, regulation by enforcement. But they're running out of road here. There's not a lot they can do. You want to, go up against another project the same way you did Ripple? Well, you're going to get probably the same result. You can take this to appeals, but that's just going to kick it up to a higher authority. Probably going to get the same result. It's not a lot of great ways to go here. Judges will continue to be the last line of defense against the SEC's overreach, and the SEC will continue to lose. And that's the important part, because when you look at the current laws, not the way we wish they were or hope they would be, but the way the laws are written now, well, crypto assets are not securities. And when they're selling on the secondary market, those aren't securities transactions, should not be in the purview of the SEC. Now, should somebody overlook this? Yeah, probably. We should probably have some light reporting, but we don't have it now, and only Congress can write the laws. Gary Gensler can't do so. No matter how much he wants to, claims he can, he can't. He can call things crypto securities, doesn't make it law, and the courts are going to keep smacking him right back in the face, because he doesn't write the laws. Lastly, Stewart predicts in 2024, Congress will agree in principle on crypto regulations, but will disagree on the best course of action, leaving the U.S. Crypto firms stuck while the rest of the world makes significant positive strides. I think that's a little bit too doom and gloom. I'll tell you what, we are making positive strides. We have went to court. We have won battles. We know, when you have an asset trading on the secondary market, like XRP, not a security transaction. We didn't know that before. We would have guessed that the institutional sales were safe and the secondary market sales were the problem. Well, we got that clarity now because of that Ripple court case. Could another judge disagree? Of course. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think that was the lawful decision. We're seeing with, ETFs. You can't just arbitrarily go no spot ETF. It doesn't make sense. You're just being nasty to the crypto space. Courts aren't going to allow it. We can go on down the line. The SEC keeps losing because, again, they're not going by what the law is. They're trying to get desired results, and they're going to run out of, road here. They can't keep playing this game. Eventually, some court is going to take it to them because they've been told time and time again. They can only do this so often. So I think we're going to make progress there. I think the SEC is going to have to concede a lot of these battles. Furthermore, I get it. It's a bad climate to pass new regulations. I mean, we don't even have a tax plan. All this, almost 4 years into this administration, are we really going to go to defining crypto assets? But in a lot of ways, yes, because there's a lot of money here. And it's becoming very large. And it's very important. And your big players are getting into this space. BlackRock, Fidelity, stuff like that. They don't want ambiguity. They can't have ambiguity. But they need this because you have to have somewhere to get growth. Again, we've talked about this. The crypto market, Apple's back at all-time high. I'm not saying it's not going to go higher, but how high will this market go? You look at real estate valuations, still very high, right? When you're looking for somewhere that's undervalued, somewhere that can post growth, I think cryptocurrencies is a great place that may give you growth over the next decade. That's why your big players want in here. They don't want their customers fleeing to crypto, pulling their money out of BlackRock funds, out of Fidelity funds, out of, whatever funds there are out there, and then they're going to lose out on all those management fees. They need this, and they're going to get it. I think we'll make progress. And we see a lot of times with crypto stuff, it's bipartisan, which is abnormal for this day and time and this era. But we see that with crypto, and again, because that's the money, and the politicians need this, and that's where the power is going to come from, and the voting. So even though it's a bad environment, I think we will make progress. I don't think we'll clear all issues, but I think we'll start to chip away at this. And maybe we deal with stable coins first, and then the classification of crypto assets, and so on down the line. We're going to get there. We're on our way. We've already won. Now it's just a matter of time. Let me know what you think down below. And as always, please like, please subscribe. The revolution will be televised right here on Jungle Link.